The Sports home win over Billericay Town was the last game before the National League announced the termination of the season for the North and South Leagues and made all results since October null and void. But hey, the players are still training. Is there a way back from the league's decision? Kevin Anderson spoke with three people that know the current position: Football Club Chair David Blackmore, CEO John Bonar and Team Manager Danny Bloor.
Well, it's time for a catch-up while there's no football going on outside, although I can tell you actually that the first team squad as we speak on a Tuesday evening is out there training, and we've dragged in our manager Danny Bloor and alongside him our chairman David Blackmore and our CEO John Bonar. Who better than the three wise men to just give us a catch-up. Now, we are talking informally here. I haven't got my barrister's wig on, and so we're not going to get too legalistic. But just for the sake of you supporters, we're going to do our best to bring you up to date. And we start really with this question about the dealings with the National League and the letter from the 18 clubs. And Chris Hayes is wondering, did the National League go against its own rules or the FA's rules by instigating the carry-on or not carry-on vote? David?
Yes, Kevin, I think that's very clearly our position as the 18 clubs. So there has been a case made to the league that they have acted against their own constitution and against their rules of voting, and that the resolutions actually were unlawful. So from our perspective, when we very first looked at the vote, the National League voted with 56.5% to carry on. National League South actually voted with 57% to carry on. So we voted even more in favour. Overall, if you were to vote with their constitutional rules, the vote was 54.6% to carry on. I think the main crux of our argument is that the resolutions that followed Resolution 1, even though we feel Resolution 1 itself wasn't correct, were wrong in themselves because they should have been special resolutions needing a 75% vote to pass. So that's the position that we're in, is that we actually feel that the vote wasn't constitutional, and as such, our season actually isn't null and void because they can't declare the season null and void until the FA ratify that decision, and it hasn't yet been ratified.
So if, and a great big hypothetical if, that decision was effectively reversed and there was a decision to carry on, I just wonder in practical terms how it would work. Would there be a joint competition across National League South, National League North?
I think the current school of thought amongst all of our clubs, Kevin, is that the leagues should carry on exactly as they are because they haven't been made null and void. They haven't been stopped. The competition is still running. And in effect, so there still is a National League, there's a National League South, there's a National League North. However, bearing in mind our respect for all the clubs that don't wish to carry on or feel that they can't carry on for whatever reason, obviously we'd be open to looking at all sorts of different options to carry on if necessary.
Okay. If we track back to the origins of this problem, it really comes down to the funding issue, I think, doesn't it? Yeah. And the change in the funding, which was an ignition point for what has happened since. And I wonder if we could clarify the sequence of events and how that has affected the relationship of the clubs with the league board. And does the league board still have the confidence of the clubs?
It all tracks back, Kevin, really and truthfully, to probably only a couple of days before the league starting. At that point, none of us were sure where the funding was coming from or how it was going to be made available to us. We were assured at that point in time of grant funding for the first 3 months of the season, and that future funding would be made available if necessary through further lockdowns. I think everybody felt that would be through grants. That was certainly what was told to us by the National League. They've since said that was what was intimated to them. DCMS are saying under no circumstances was it ever made clear to them that it would be through grants. And as such, we were offered loans or grants rather than just a basic grant funding. And that's really the crux of where a lot of clubs have said they're not prepared to take on loans, so they want to stop the season.
And I know when I was talking to John a week or two ago, you were minded to think that there was a way forward for the club financially, and it wouldn't put us in a dreadful mess if we were to carry on the season.
Yeah, you're right, Kevin. I think we've been very prudent. We've slashed our budget in comparison to previous years. We knew it was going to be tight this year. And I think everybody was, we knew we were going to have restricted crowds and obviously restricted income. With that in mind, we were prudent, we were careful, and we've done everything the right way. Other clubs may not have operated in that way, so they can't continue. The loans that are being offered are very, very competitive, and in any other business you wouldn't get loans this good. It also gives you time to operate and time to work and get ready for the loans to kick in, the payments. So, we feel that we should be playing football. We feel that we've got a duty, a moral obligation, if you like. We took grants, the league as a whole have taken grants worth £11 million. If you're going to bin the season off, you're binning off £11 million that could have been spent on something useful.
Right, we follow all that. I mean, there have been one or two questions that have come in along the lines of how would we be by, let's say, the middle of the summer? Would we be risking the club's future if we found ourselves spending money that isn't coming in as grants?
Not at all. Not at all. We wouldn't put the club in that position. As you know, past few years we've struggled, we've had some hard times, but we've fought through it. So we're actually in a better position than most clubs. We would look at consolidating things, looking at finances across the board, but we would not jeopardise the club. We wouldn't be daft enough to do that.
Right. Danny, I was saying that the team are training out there, and you can't stop these lads from kicking footballs, can you? But if the worst happens and this is actually shut down of the season, what happens in these next weeks and months?
All I can talk about is the immediate future. As you rightly say, we're training this Tuesday evening. We're training again Thursday. We do have some friendlies lined up. John's going to announce those in the next couple of days. So we're just going to keep going until told that we're not. We're expecting to play again. And if we don't play again this season, we'll be playing again next season. In my opinion, and I think both John and Dave would agree, we've got a fantastic squad. We've had a good season, and we certainly know that it's just the start of something that we hope to continue.
So, I mean, most of the players are on contract for the season. The contracts, there are all sorts of things that can happen, I know, with furloughs and part furloughs, but you would be looking to keep basically the same squad together.
Well, it'd be down to myself sitting down with both David, John,
sure,
and probably Gary Wilson as well. But if you said to me now as the manager, Danny, you've got to go with exactly the same squad again next season, obviously it'd be difficult with the loan situation of Kai and Charlie, but I'm sure we'd get a couple of... I'd be more than happy to do that. I think it's shown in recent weeks, since the turn of the year. I think, what have we lost one game to Maidstone, we're unbeaten in 5. So yeah, it's a good squad, it's well balanced, and if that was put to me now, I think we'd be happy to go with that.
There's been talk, really just gossip, of whether there would be some other informal competition set up and whether even the FA would sanction that. I don't know, across National League South clubs or even, I suppose, Sussex clubs that wanted to play some sort of competitive games. Is there any mileage in that?
Do you want Dave to answer that?
David. In short answer, Kevin, we want a sporting solution. So our view is very, very clear. We're a football club, and as such, we should be playing football. It's almost like a coffee shop trying not to sell coffee. So we want to play football, and if that sporting solution is that it's a smaller cup competition or whether it's a competition amongst Sussex teams, whatever that may be, I think we'd be supportive of trying to find some sporting solution for our club to keep playing football.
There's lots of hypotheses and guesswork involved in all of this, as we understand. But one person who's sent in a number of comments, I'm going to quote a couple of them from Tim. He says, huge congratulations on an amazing season and the 4 key appointments. Am I allowed to say this? Go on, I'm going to say it. Danny Bloor, Ben Austin, Sean Ansell and Chris Whelpdale, that seem to have played massive roles in reversing the club's fortunes this year. Inspired signings. Well, I can't embarrass the manager by asking him that, but
I was going to say, I think we can take some credit for Danny and Sean's appointment. I think Danny will take the credit for Ben and Chris Whelpdale's appointment. So we'll split the credit. But yeah, I agree that they are 4 inspired signings.
But so's the whole squad, Danny.
But I'd like to say a bit about those two signings, because I think what was quite apparent to me, having come in as manager, I think this club is quite a bit about the past. And obviously Ben was the captain when Eastbourne Borough reached a conference in the past, and that's where we all want to end up. We want to take this I see no reason why we can't take this football club into the Football League. However, that's a long-term goal. But Ben is someone who he's a friend of mine. He was a friend of mine anyway. I hope he's still a friend now, having worked with me for 25 games. But I felt that getting Ben's knowledge of the club was vital. And I think he's been an inspired signing. He's out taking training tonight with Sergio and Darren Teague. And I think and I've said this to Dave and John and Lee Peskett, Paul Maynard, the other directors as well. I think this is a club that you need to care about, and I certainly do as manager. And that Ben Austin does. Players come and players go. That's the nature of the beast. But Ben was watching games in the stand, and he actually rung me during the first lockdown and said, Danny, how's it going? Blah, 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 And then he said, if ever you need a helping hand, don't be afraid to give me a shout. Well, it was ironic. That Saturday, we were doing the training where you had to have, I think it was six players with one coach. So I rung him on the Thursday. I said, you said about that helping hand. Well, you're not available this Saturday, are you? And it's just snowballed from there. But just to reiterate, Ben Austin, like myself and like all these players here now, care about Eastbourne Borough Football Club. I think it's quite apparent from what's gone on in the recent past. We need players, and I think we're trying to do that at this club, who care about our club. We're not looking for players who want big money, who just are here using Eastbourne Borough as a meal ticket. We want, and I think you've seen that as a fan and the media guy this season. This group now care about the club, and that's, for me as manager, I think that's paramount. The other Saturday, I tried to give them a Saturday off, and no, Danny, please, can we train? I mean, you'd get that with some groups of players, and you get that with some clubs. So that's how Ben is, and I think Chris Whelpdale, it's no secret, he's one of Sergio's best friends. I said it was John who I mentioned him to first. John, we've got to get this guy. He's the player we want. And John and obviously Dave and Gary were very supportive. And Welps was playing right back for Chelmsford. And we felt he needed some fire, something that would reignite him as well. And we've put him where he is, and I think he might have scored a goal or two. So it's all about a team, though. And I know none of us want to take any personal credit. It's all about us. It's about the job that Sian started to do at this club. And I know Dave, I'll mention it because I have quite a lot of dealings with her. Her enthusiasm is incredible. It gives me enthusiasm to come training, bringing Sian in. We've also, all of us are in this as a team. It's not about John. I'll ring John sometimes. Where are you? I'm mending a wheel on the goal, and that's it. And we all are in this together. And Dave with the COVID. Dave walks around a game, and some of his games, and I'm going to give him credit. I'm going to embarrass him now, and it's hard to embarrass Dave. But Dave, on match days, these games wouldn't take place without the COVID work Dave Blackmore does. And we all have our little parts to play, and it's ultimately we're trying to get this club where it belongs.
Just Tim has said some really nice things about the club, but he strikes one note of caution. And coming back to that question of promotion, John, it would, if it happened, it would be quite a mountain to climb, Tim thinks, wouldn't it, in terms of costs? And is it actually beyond our means?
It would be, but it would be an achievement that we'd love to do, wouldn't it?
So we're up for the challenge. Yeah.
you're never going to. When are you going to be ready? Let's be honest. Are you going to be? Oh, we're not ready yet. We'll hold fire. You know, no, we're a football club. We want to play the best of our ability. We want to play against the best teams. We want to play against the best opponents. If we got promotion, yeah, we'd grab it with both hands. We've now got foundations in place that make this club a better club than it's been for many, many years. And that's not just the personnel, it's the things that we've put in place to deal with it.
Just one fiddly detail, sort of anyway, from Paul Buckwell. We've refurbished the clubhouse, and Paul asks, we had a profitable cup run and now we've spent a lot of money on the clubhouse when, to be frank, it wasn't in bad condition. Would it not have been better to hold on to the funds as renovation wasn't urgent?
Paul's unfortunately misinformed. Clubhouse has been refurbed by one of our new major sponsors, Archibald's Decorating, as part of the deal of their sponsorship. And I disagree with the fact that it didn't need doing. I think it looked a little tired, and it has done for a little while. And I'm hopeful that when people come back in and they see what we've done, they'll appreciate it, and people will start coming and staying and having a few drinks with us.
That's good. David, we've not yet. We would be having an AGM, I think, roundabout now. That is postponed because of lockdown. What's the situation?
We obviously haven't been able to have one for quite a while, Kevin, because of lockdowns and everything. So I am pleased to announce today that the invite letters will be going out tomorrow. We're going to do a virtual AGM. We have to find innovative ways to do everything, you know. So we're going to do a virtual AGM, which is going to be held late March. I believe it's the 25th of March with our 28 days notice period. And what we're going to do is invite all shareholders to send in any questions that they have to myself and John and the rest of the board. I will then answer all of those questions and go through all the normal agenda items of an AGM and post that out and put that onto our website so that everybody can see it. So we're going to do our best to hold an AGM without being able to have everybody inside the building to do that. So that's what we're going to do.
Okie doke. It's a perk of my job to ask a couple of curveball
Yeah,
questions.
absolutely.
So here they come. What about the Blackpool connection? Any chance of keeping that alive? Close season friendly?
I think, Kevin, it would be a travesty if we don't have Blackpool down here at some point in time. I think the relationships that we've built up with Blackpool, both with Danny and their management team, and the two clubs together, you know, Sean is continually talking to them on social media. All our fans are interacting with them. I know yourself interacts with them on social media, and they are desperate to come down and visit us down here and give us the day that we kind of missed out on a little bit on the FA Cup. Without having them down here. So I think there's a very definite case that we will see Big Bertha down here again in all its glory, but with some fans surrounding it actually. So hopefully a big pre-season game for us.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the final outrageously unfair question goes to the manager. If the season had been finished, what position would Borough have been in the league table?
Obviously that's a very difficult question to ask, but and I said to you in our last interview, after 19 games which we had played, you know where you are, and we were third in the table, and you know we were sort of locked in. Who knows what would have happened in those 21 games, but I would have been relatively optimistic. You know, you do need a lot of luck. Injuries permitting, the boys from QPR, remaining with us. Welps carrying on scoring goals, but I think there's been a number of other players who've come to the party in recent weeks, but I would have been relatively optimistic that we would have not got relegated, Kevin.
And on that note, gentlemen, we thank you very much for those thoughts and opinions and insights, and up the Borough!
Up the Borough!